Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise for the academic processional and remain standing for the national anthem? Please rise. Good afternoon. For the 390th time, the Pennsylvania State University conducts commencement exercises. All are in their places. While the day is one of joy and celebration, the commencement ceremony itself calls for dignity and decorum. This is one of the great days of a lifetime for our graduates, their families, and friends. Therefore, we request everyone's cooperation in according this ceremony the quiet respect it deserves. These exercises for the 2018 fall semester are hereby called to order.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. I'm Eric Barron, President of the Pennsylvania State University, and I join in welcoming you to our commencement ceremony today. We shall open with the national anthem, led by Mr. Sean Toso of the School of Music, accompanied by Center Brass.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the university, I welcome you each to this occasion. This ceremony is patterned after a ritual which has been repeated throughout the long history of higher education and duplicated throughout the world wherever there are universities and colleges. The robes we wear and the symbols of this ceremony are from the Middle Ages. The mace is a symbol of the authority of the university, but the spirit of commencement is modern, is always new, and is always focused on the future. It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Squire Booker. Dr. Booker is an Evan Pugh University professor of chemistry, Howard Hughes medical investigator, and Eberly Distinguished Chair in Science. Dr. Booker's main research interests include deciphering the molecular details by which enzymes, a special class of proteins, catalyze reactions in the cell. He then uses the insight gained to manipulate these reactions for various objectives, ranging from the production of biofuels to the development of antibacterial agents. His laboratory garnered international attention for revealing a pathway by which disease-causing bacteria such as methicillin-resistant staph infections evade entire classes of commonly used antibiotics. Dr. Booker has received many awards, including the Penn State Faculty Scholar Medal, which recognized scholarly or creative excellence through contributions around a coherent theme. Earlier in his career, Dr. Booker was recognized as one of 57 of the country's most promising scientists and engineers with the Presidential Early Career Award for Scientists and Engineers. Dr. Booker is a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science and a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He earned a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Austin College and a doctoral degree in biochemistry at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That same year, he was awarded a National Science Foundation NATO Fellowship for postdoctoral studies, and later he was awarded a National Institutes of Health postdoctoral fellowship for studies at the Institute for Enzyme Research at the University of Wisconsin. He joined the Penn State faculty in 1999. We are delighted that he is today's speaker. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Squire Booker.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, President Barron. First, let me start by congratulating each and every one of you on this wonderful and most momentous occasion. Penn State, as well as your family and friends, are incredibly proud of you and your accomplishments. You come from many different backgrounds and walks of life with many different passions, goals, and ambitions. But each of you saw fit to choose Penn State as that place to further your education as you prepare yourself, a place for yourself in this vibrant world of ours. As many of you know, Penn State is a unique experience, one like no other. Given that my own undergraduate college experience was not particularly memorable, I often ask Penn State students why they love this school so much. Many say that it's difficult to describe. It's just something that you feel. There's just so much pride in the traditions here, and there are so many things with which one can involve him or herself. I too have developed a fondness for Penn State, which has grown during the almost 20 years that I've been on the faculty, and feel a special connection to the university, which I hope to explain further throughout this commencement address. One of my favorite Penn State stories, and one that makes me very proud to be a Penn Stater, is that of Wally Triplett, a Penn State football legend who passed away a little over a month ago this year. Some, or even many of you, may know that Wally Triplett was the first African American to start for the Penn State football team back in the mid-1940s, and was the first African American to play during the regular season in the NFL. He was born and raised in the Philadelphia area and was a high school standout in football. He was so good, he received a scholarship to play football at the University of Miami, sight unseen. However, when the University of Miami discovered that he was Black, the scholarship was rescinded because it was a segregated university. Triplett then received an academic scholarship in 1945 to attend Penn State, where he played his collegiate football. The fact that Penn State allowed him to play on the team in and of itself reflects positively on the university, especially given that down south, where I'm from, not only were African Americans not allowed to play alongside white players, they weren't even allowed to play against white players. In fact, in 1946, Penn State was scheduled to play the University of Miami for its last football game of the season, which was in early December. However, the University of Miami refused to play teams that included Black players. According to the Center Daily Times, November the 6th, 1946, the University of Miami insisted that the two Black players, Wally Triplett and his roommate, Dennis Holgert, could not participate in their scheduled November matchup in the Orange Bowl Stadium because such a contest might result in unfortunate incidents. So, instead of traveling to Miami without their Black players, which the players were looking forward to because of the much improved weather in Miami in December versus the weather in State College, the Penn State team voted to cancel the game and just stay home. In essence, instead of doing what would clearly be most convenient, the Penn State football team chose to do what was morally proper, despite the ramifications. Believe me, Triplett and his other Black teammate, Dennis Holgert, would have understood had they chosen to go to Miami without them. As he said about his life as a Black person in State College, "I never expected much, and much was never offered." Moreover, it was not uncommon at the time for Northern schools to acquiesce to Southern sensibilities and bench their Black players even when Southern teams came up north to play. Soon after, Penn State University issued a formal statement saying, "It is the policy of the college to compete only under circumstances which will permit the playing of any or all members of its athletic teams." This Penn State policy, featured prominently in the New York Times and other newspapers, was well known nationally. And because Penn State's teams were so good and the university was so well known, it began to tear at the fabric of college sports in America. The question of how to deal with the issue of the Black athlete was at the forefront of everyone's mind. In 1947, Penn State finished its regular season undefeated and was ranked 4th in the Associated Press poll and was selected to play Southern Methodist University at the Cotton Bowl, which was one of only 5 major bowls at that time, with the other 4 being the Rose Bowl, the Sun Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Orange Bowl. Of those 4 bowls, only the Rose Bowl allowed African Americans to compete there. SMU was ranked 3rd and had just won the Southwest Conference title. The number 1 and 2 teams were Notre Dame and Michigan, but Notre Dame didn't compete in postseason play at that time, and Michigan was slated to play number 8 USC at the Rose Bowl. But USC wasn't thought to be that great of a team and were in fact blown away by Michigan that year in the Rose Bowl. So the Cotton Bowl Classic was slated to be the highlight of postseason play that year. However, the question of what to do with Wally Triplett and Dennis Holgert loomed heavily over negotiations. Penn State had made it clear that they play all or none, and believe me, the stakes were way too high, I'm talking money, people, not to allow this game to take place. And so accommodations had to be made. Penn State insisted that its players even be housed together, so that ruled out major downtown hotels, which were all segregated, and so the team had to be housed about 14 miles away at the Dallas Naval Air Station. Moreover, many of the festivities and social functions associated with bowl games had to be toned down tremendously so as not to defy Southern social norms. Wally Triplett and Dennis Holger took to the field at the Cotton Bowl amid jeers, profanity, and threats. It was so bad that when the officials saw that Triplett was going to do the opening kickoff, he exclaimed, "Oh my God," as if it can't get any worse than this, before handing him the ball and wishing him well. On all accounts, the game was a spectacular success as Penn State came back in the third quarter on a Triplett score to tie at 13-13, which was the final score. The Cotton Bowl seated less than 50,000 people, but the office had received over 100,000 requests for tickets just in the first 4 days of mail sales. Because of this game, the Cotton Bowl had been catapulted to a new level of significance in college sports, which led to an increase in the stadium size to 67,000 in that same year, and then to over 75,000 the following year. Moreover, the following year, SMU played the University of Oregon in the Cotton Bowl, a university which brought 3 black players down to Texas. The Christian Science Monitor wrote of the Penn State-SMU matchup of 1948 that this game carried more significance than does a Supreme Court decision against Jim Crowism, or would a Federal Fair Employment Practices Act. It was that big. The reason why this story resonates so much with me is that I grew up in Southeast Texas in a relatively small city called Beaumont, where racism was rampant. Beaumont is nestled about 25 miles from the Louisiana border and 25 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. It's known for oil, as the site of the famous 1901 Spindletop oil gusher, which initiated the Texas oil boom and mass production of oil in the United States. It's known for the Ku Klux Klan, which was pervasive in the neighboring cities that surrounded Beaumont. And it's known for high school football, due in large part to 2 all-black schools that had a knack for churning out pro football players. Football was so big in our community that when these 2 black schools met in the annual Soul Bowl, as it was called, the game often was played in a university stadium. In fact, in the early 1970s, Beaumont was proclaimed by the NFL the football capital of the world. Beaumont had twice as many players in the NFL as any other city in America, despite its size of around 115,000 people. However, at the time of Wally Triplett and up until the 1950s, black players from Beaumont could not play football at major universities in Texas or anywhere else down south, and often traveled to schools in what is now the Big Ten or the Pac-12 to play and receive their educations. So why am I telling you this story? Although college football is clearly a passion of mine, I actually make a living as a scientist and an educator. When I was asked to give this commencement address, I thought that I might reflect on the infamous Tuskegee syphilis experiments, an incredibly sad and shocking chapter in American history, but I didn't want people to leave today's ceremony depressed. I told you this story because this is your legacy. As we send you out today to take on the world's challenges and to expose nature's secrets, This legacy is Penn State's gift to remind you that you are a person of substance and that you come from a place of values. We do what's right, not because it's easy. We do it even though it is hard. We are Penn State. And so I'll leave you again by saying congratulations. We are very proud of you and are looking forward to hearing about your tremendous successes in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Booker. Ladies and gentlemen, as many of you know, the legal corporate body of the Pennsylvania State University is its Board of Trustees. This is the body that, by its charter, is given final responsibility for the governance, welfare, and other interests pertaining to our university. At this time, I call upon Mimi Barash Coppersmith to authorize the conferring of the degrees at this ceremony. Mimi Barash Coppersmith was president of the Barash Group as well as publisher of Town and Gown magazine for nearly 50 years when she sold her business in 2008. She served on the Board of Trustees from 1976 to 1997, having been elected by the alumni. She was named Trustee Emerita in 1997. She is of the class of 1953, graduating with honors in journalism in just 3 years. Ms. Coppersmith was the first woman chair of the board in 1991 and 1992. She has been honored by Penn State for her many accomplishments, including mortarboard as a student and as an alumna, College of Liberal Arts Service to Society Award, Lion's Paw Medal, Alumni Fellow, and Distinguished Alumna. Mimi has recently published her first book, Eat First, Cry Later. We're extremely pleased that she is with us today. Ms. Coppersmith.
Thank you, Dr. Barron, for that very charming introduction. It makes me feel old. Well, what a wonderful day, and I'm so happy to be the trustee chosen to give you a few words of wisdom. I remember reading Dr. Seuss to my little girls, now 60 and 57 years old, and living in an era of gender equality progress. Dr. Seuss said in one book I used to read all the time, "You have brains in your head and feet in your shoes. You can do anything you choose." You're earning a first-class Penn State graduate degree today that will contribute to your ability to make a difference. Be a catalyst to your own ultimate goal. Wise teenager Anne Frank, in her famous diary, wrote, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world." Bob Dole concluded, "When it's all over, it's not who you were, it's whether you made a difference." Eleanor Roosevelt advised, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Returning to that wise Dr. Seuss, I urge each of you to, quote, "Be who you are, say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." And finally, in my recently published Eat First, Cry Later memoir, my last lesson learned reads, "Bring hope and courage to others in these troubled times." That's why we're here. That's all we have, and it's enough. God bless you, and good luck. And now I turn to my official duty, Dr. Barron. By virtue of the authority vested in and as approved by the Board of Trustees of the Pennsylvania State University, you are authorized on behalf of the board to confer on each of these candidates the degree earned as certified by the appropriate college faculty and dean. Dr. Barron.
Thank you, Trustee Coppersmith, for the authorization to confer degrees for these candidates assembled. Before we proceed to the conferral of degrees, please note that Penn State recognizes graduates of the graduate school who are veterans or actively serving with special red, white, and blue honor cords. At this time, I would like to ask all graduating military and veteran students who have served our country to please stand. Now, would members of the audience who are veterans or active duty of the military please also stand? Thank you for your significant contributions to our nation. I now call upon Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Regina Vassilatos-Yonkin, to preside over the conferring of the degrees.
Thank you, Dr. Barron. Graduation marks an important academic achievement. I am pleased to represent those faculty who certify these students for their degrees. This semester, we will confer 194 doctoral degrees and 1,197 master's degrees. Approximately 15% of our enrollment at University Park is in the graduate school. Dr. Barron, I would now like to introduce the deans of the colleges who are members of our platform party. They will come forward to congratulate both the master's and doctoral candidates from their colleges. Will each dean please stand as I call your name and remain standing until all are introduced? Gary A. Thompson, Associate Dean, College of Agricultural Sciences. Barbara O. Corner, Dean, College of Arts and Architecture. Charles H. Whiteman, Dean, Smeal College of Business. Peter Idowu, Assistant Dean, Capital College, Penn State, Harrisburg. Ann Taylor, Assistant Dean, College of Earth and Mineral Sciences. Gregory Kelly, Senior Associate Dean, College of Education. Justin Schwartz, Dean, College of Engineering. Catherine D. Drager, Interim Dean, College of Health and Human Development. Andrew L. Sears, Dean, College of Information Sciences and Technology. Hari Asofsky, Dean, School of International Affairs and Penn State Law. Susan Welsh, Dean, College of the Liberal Arts. Lori Batsek, Dean, College of Nursing. Alexandra Slavkovic, Associate Dean, Eberly College of Science. As Dean of the Graduate School, I will represent those attending this ceremony from the College of Medicine. Thank you all. You may be seated. At Penn State, we award two types of master's degrees, academic and professional. Academic degrees, which emphasize research and the creation of new knowledge, include the Master of Arts and the Master of Science. Professional degrees, which symbolize competence in the practical application of knowledge, include 27 master's degree titles, which are listed in your program on page 3. Will all master's candidates please rise for the conferral of your degree?
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon each of you the master's degree that you have earned with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Congratulations.
You may be seated. The university marshals will now escort the master's recipients to the stage by college, beginning with the College of Agricultural Sciences. I would like to call upon and thank our university nomenclator, Edward B. Christopher, who will introduce individual graduates and announce their fields of study. We will be calling each graduate to the platform to be recognized. I would like to convey a gentle reminder to our graduates that all students are expected to remain on the floor until the conclusion of the ceremony, out of respect for the importance and dignity of this occasion. Remaining to share equally in every graduate's moment says much about who we are as a community of Penn Staters and is a true demonstration of we are Penn State. Now let me say a word to our guests today and ask for your cooperation as well. Most of you have traveled many miles today to hear one name, and each name will be heard if you hold your applause and cheers in consideration of everyone who is here today to honor one student. Please refrain from enthusiastic recognition until the end. Our graduates have worked long and hard to earn their degrees, and each one deserves the opportunity to be recognized by their family and friends. So we ask that you refrain from applause, cheers, and other noise-making for our graduates until all have crossed the platform and returned to their seats. Then we will applaud their accomplishments together. And at this time, I promise you, I'll encourage your thunderous applause to bring the house down. We are pleased that 1,197 master's degrees are being awarded by Penn State this semester. Some of those eligible to receive recognition at today's ceremony have already started their new careers and are unable to attend.
College of Agricultural Sciences. Remilin Relado, Agricultural and Extension Education. Maria Elaine Kramer, Horticulture. Olga Trushina, Renewable Energy and Sustainability Systems. Gitanjali L. Bouchon, Pathobiology. Edward Lee Alonzo, Community and Economic Development. Robert William Malloy, Renewable Energy and Sustainability Systems. John Hanson Murphy, Community and Economic Development. Darla Joanne Romberger, Agricultural and Extension Education. Melissa Danielle Miller, Soil Science. Josiah Scott Newman, Agricultural and Biological Engineering. Joshua Robert Kasser, Animal Science. College of Arts and Architecture. Elizabeth May Andrzejewski, Architecture. Samantha J. Chappelle, Art Education. Henry Lestrange Reagan, Theater. Julia Lynn Cherison, Theater. Sierra Alexis Shaw, Theater. Eric Brian Robinson Jr., Theater. Denzel D'Angelo Fields, Theater. Jesse D. Suiters, Geodesign. Andrew James Marshall, Art History. Smeal College of Business. Andres Neves, Business Administration. Angela Gray, Finance. Miguel O. Costa, Finance. Lishuang Chen, Finance. Adel Saad Al-Shakhani, Supply Chain Management. Raed Fayed Al-Bakawi, Supply Chain Management. Mohammed Al-Mutairi, Supply Chain Management. Ali Musa Al-Ghazwi, Supply Chain Management. Luke Michael Proudfoot, Accounting. Christopher John Chiappa, Accounting. Matthew Aaron Newcomer, Accounting. Jimmy Wailun Wang, Accounting. Azmat Suleymanov, Finance. Kushbu P. Shaw, Finance. Jia K. Soon, Finance. Li Ye Feng, Finance. Jia Wen Liu, Finance. Haopeng Jin, Finance. Yizhe Tan, Finance. Zili Jia, Finance. Andrew Taro Sakamoto, Accounting. Jessica Camiso, Accounting. Elena Grace McGuire, Accounting. Abigail E. Lavelle, Accounting. Devin L. Rowles, Accounting. Althea Lee Dixon, Business Administration. David James Williams, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Caitlin Markel Rogers, Accounting. Dara Kieser, Project Management. Tan Truk Nguyen, Accounting. Yi Karen Lam, Accounting. Camilla Fonseca, Accounting. Justin Antonio Hurley, Accounting. Gabrielle Brooke Nair, Accounting. Mia Elizabeth Dandria, Accounting. Liam Patrick Clark, Accounting. Rachel Claire Crowley, Accounting. Emily Michelle Eisner, Accounting. Mariana Julia Kelly, Accounting. Amari Tavares, Finance. Esther Hunt, Finance. Luke Randolph Swales, Project Management. Anthony Robert Meck, Accounting. Bryce Stephen Engelhart, Accounting. Aaron Martinez, Accounting. Stephanie K. Lopez, Accounting. Morgan Claire Majeski, Accounting. Madeline Louise Sanchez, Accounting. Emma Lee Nealis, Accounting. Paige Lawyer, Accounting. Asel Sagimbayeva, Finance. Capital College. Nelson Vasquez, Accounting. Omar Ortega, Homeland Security. Jade Nicole Long, Homeland Security. Gregory Davidson, Homeland Security. Megan Smith Chapman, Homeland Security. Emma Maywai Chung, Homeland Security. Crystal Lauren Monroe, Homeland Security. James Lee Bacon, Public Administration. Kristen Jennifer Smith, Public Administration. James David Privet, Homeland Security. Chase Alexander McGlinchey, Homeland Security. Christopher Fandora, Homeland Security. Justin Paul Schuttheis, Homeland Security. Andrew Mark Reinhardt, Homeland Security. DeAndre Maurice Brown, Homeland Security. Catherine Bradley Petsas, Public Administration. Jeffrey Paul Popadines, Public Administration. Jasmine Jeray Joy, Master of Public Administration. Brandon Patrick McDonough, Public Administration. Juan Felipe Hernandez Avila, Public Administration. Jasmine Young, Public Administration. David M. Frazka, Homeland Security. College of Earth and Mineral Sciences. Bienvenido Alonso, Geographic Information Systems. Vanessa Caroline Montero, Meteorology and Atmospheric Science. Brian Paul Cayley, Geographic Information Systems. James Michael Schiavelli, Geographic Information Systems. Thomas Ryan Rubino, Geographic Information Systems. Brandon Lewis Clark, Geosciences. Gabrielle Elizabeth Ramirez, Geosciences. Haley M. Ramirez, Geosciences. Callum Richard Wayman, Geosciences. College of Education. Christina Hammond, Curriculum and Instruction. Jacqueline Lee Watts, Lifelong Learning and Adult Education. Jacqueline Rose McClinton, Special Education. Michaela Earl, Special Education. Amal Mohammed Al-Khatani, Workforce Education and Development. Deborah Ruth Patrick, Curriculum and Instruction. Shannon Conway, Higher Education. Caitlin Eileen Kushner, Educational Theory and Policy. Gina Marie Thompson, Curriculum and Instruction. Megan Kathleen Schickling, Special Education. Samantha Melissa Rosso, Curriculum and Instruction. Diane Esther Garber, Workforce Education and Development. Marissa Helen G., Educational Leadership. Megan Stanton Riggers, Learning, Design, and Technology. Christy Lynn Giannetti, Special Education. Jana Marie Ames, Curriculum and Instruction. Faith Nicole Bisecker, Higher Education. Lindy Ora Eisenhart, Special Education. Rachel Ann Yakovet, Special Education. Kimberly Ann Spader, Higher Education. Molly Elizabeth Myers, Special Education. Leanne Philomena Faith Hadzel, Special Education. Charles Edward Haberman, Organization, Development, and Change. Marty Petrosky, Learning, Design, and Technology. Matthew Dunn, Workforce Education and Development. Denisha Siobhan McBride, Organization, Development, and Change. Lauren Ashley Clay, Special Education. Perry Lee Van Boom, Learning, Design, and Technology. Devin Taylor Macho, Special Education. Bridget Ann Graff, Curriculum and Instruction. Just Ogema, Lifelong Learning and Adult Education. Chelsea Ryan Scott, Higher Education. Natalie Flores, Higher Education. Paige Allison Null, Special Education. Roxanne Hoke, Higher Education. Kim Butler, Curriculum and Instruction. Catherine McCune Butler, Curriculum and Instruction. John Allen Young, Curriculum and Instruction. Joelle Riesinger Bond, Curriculum and Instruction. Elizabeth Ann Berger, Curriculum and Instruction. Katie Neese, Special Education. Krista Lee Farner, Curriculum and Instruction. Bobby Joe Worrell, Special Education. Harriet Maeve Smith, Curriculum and Instruction. College of Engineering. Rachel Frampton, Data Analytics. Salvador Adrian Odorica, Architectural Engineering. Dustin Montgomery Vesey, Chemical Engineering. Robert L. Johnson, Engineering Management. Karpagalashmi Rajagopalan, Data Analytics. Dora Thacker, Data Analytics. Maria I. Beltry, Civil Engineering. Sumantra Patnaik, Computer Science and Engineering. Mitansh Sharad Doshi, Aerospace Engineering. Yi Tsung Lee, Aerospace Engineering. Amy Marie Sauger, Systems Engineering. The Min Tran, Data Analytics. Faris Abdullah G. Al-Malki, Mechanical Engineering. Mary Joan Walker, Engineering Leadership and Innovation Management. Ashwin Ramnarayan, Engineering Leadership and Innovation Management. Marissa C. Brennan, Materials Science and Engineering. Apurv Rusher, Data Analytics. Chirag Jani, Data Analytics. Avinash Palikere, Engineering Management. Prashnath Ramesh, Data Analytics. Pratik Subhash Pakpute, Engineering Management. Logapiya Nagarajan, Engineering Management. Deepak Akula, Software Engineering. Anath Shri Naga Harsha Poliseti, Data Analytics. Gina Ann Piapi, Data Analytics. Jache Hao, Data Analytics. Shwetu Tiwari, Data Analytics. Namratha Bhushan, Data Analytics. Mohini Priya Kumar, Data Analytics. Neha Bhushan, Data Analytics. Sailesh Kumar Pandey, Data Analytics. Joshua William Withrow, Electrical Engineering. Catherine M. Bachner, Nuclear Engineering. Joseph Blockberger, Mechanical Engineering. Lane Patrick Miller, Acoustics. Chaivalya Kandukure, Data Analytics. Industrial Kaichuk Chala, Industrial Engineering. Pankti P. Sangvi, Industrial Engineering. Anu Anfal, Industrial Engineering. Surendar Nagarajan, Industrial Engineering. Ashish Chauhan, Data Analytics. Weiliang Sun, Computer Science and Engineering. Kashyap Kari, Energy and Mineral Engineering. Christopher Paul Martinsik, Engineering Management. Pedro Francisco Pinilla, Engineering Management. Jatin M. Patel, Systems Engineering. Jared Scott Mosier, Systems Engineering. Roland Robert Smith, Architectural Engineering. Corey James Welsh, Engineering Management. Pascual Luevano, Engineering Management. Jacob Preston Gorton, Nuclear Engineering. Daniel J. Lucas, Data Analytics. Ellen Justine Wise, Architectural Engineering. Stephanie E. Mitzner, Engineering Management. Sung Hao Lin, Electrical Engineering. Surab Prabhakur Dalvi, Industrial Engineering with dual title in Operations Research. Sai Kakarla Moody, Industrial Engineering. Michael W. Barclift, Mechanical Engineering. Donald Logan Hall, Electrical Engineering. Rafiq Namil Wright, Systems Engineering. Christopher Andrew Panchura, Software Engineering. Landon Hernandez, Electrical Engineering. Chase R. Schulda, Engineering at the Nanoscale. Nicholas Michael Budzinski, Electrical Engineering. Carice Ian Lynn, Aerospace Engineering. Dennis Negron Rivera, Systems Engineering. William Bo Griffith, Systems Engineering. Stephanie Varner Hall, Systems Engineering. Thomas James Weston, Systems Engineering. Shin Chen Lin, Data Analytics. Santosh Reddy Sama, Mechanical Engineering with dual title in Additive Manufacturing and Design. Joseph M. Sinclair, Additive Manufacturing and Design. Roberto Enrique Acevedo Morales, Software Engineering. Lawrence L. Snell, Software Engineering. Camilla Ivelisse Perez, Software Engineering. Melissa Ann Peterson, Software Engineering. Rufaro Tisti Robertson, Data Analytics. Anthony John Poma, Engineering Management. Joseph Brian Atkinson, Software Engineering. Nigel C. Lee, Software Engineering. Anthony Michael Tignola, Software Engineering. Swapnil, Electrical Engineering. Sean Mark Limbert, Engineering Management. Sanjay Tanaji Wathor, Information Science. College of Health and Human Development. Frank Thomas Materia, Biobehavioral Health. Xinjiao Duan, Nutritional Sciences. Judy L. Brown, Health Policy and Administration. Arlene Britt, Health Policy and Administration. Melissa Kim De La Pena, Health Policy and Administration. William Leon Yardy, Health Policy and Administration. Tamika Valerie Longstreet, Health Policy and Administration. Jimmy Lee Schlenker, Health Policy and Administration. Jacqueline Michelle Sansig, Health Policy and Administration. Janine Grace Nowatsky, Health Policy and Administration. Juliana Barboza Irizarry, Health Policy and Administration. Autumn Muller, Health Policy and Administration. Nicole Renee Messing, Health Policy and Administration. Victoria Varela, Health Policy and Administration. Wendy Ann Fiegel, Health Policy and Administration. Charles Albert McDonough, Health Policy and Administration. Aristoarlo Florencio Buon, Health Policy and Administration. Mark Robert Batuska Jr., Health Policy and Administration. Nicholas A. Bonazza, Health Policy and Administration. Shawnee Petrosky, Health Policy and Administration. Melissa Ann Bertolet, Health Policy and Administration. Nicole Diane Denham, Health Policy and Administration. Ashley Baker Wynn, Health Policy and Administration. William J. Kreck III, Health Policy and Administration. Julie Gomez, Health Policy and Administration. Amanda Jo Bornay, Health Policy and Administration. Crystal Ann Bluto, Communication Sciences and Disorders. Lucy Carolyn Pollard Harbor, Recreation, Park, and Tourism Management with dual title in Human Dimensions of Natural Resources in the Environment. College of Information Sciences and Technology. Robert Albright, Enterprise Architecture. Elizabeth Martha Chantha, Information Sciences. Chad T. Joyce, Information Sciences. William Kenneth Gates, Enterprise Architecture. Eric Kilichowski, Information Sciences. Rita Cervantes Gomez, Information Sciences. Christopher Maez Schaefer, Information Sciences. Lisa Michelle Wilson, Enterprise Architecture. Timothy Scott Ryan, Information Sciences. Matthew James Matroka, Information Sciences. Ted Nathaniel Unikumarum, Enterprise Architecture. Crystal Singleton Garner, Information Sciences. Assad Hawk, Information Sciences. Andrew Donald Borden, Information Sciences. Lawrence Allen Neese, Information Sciences. Justin M. Gruenberg, Information Sciences. Darren Wade Snickles, Information Sciences. Brooks Michael Stevens, Information Sciences. Charles Bates, Enterprise Architecture. School of International Affairs. Richard Jacob Dickerson, International Affairs. Katarina Rose German, International Affairs. Marta Millar, International Affairs. College of the Liberal Arts. Joy Beth Bradley, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Daria Sipihina, Russian and Comparative Literature. Jessica F. Kravitz, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Mirtha Vale Ramos, Psychology of Leadership. Matthew Ian Gentis, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Shifale Muhajun, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Mary Viaggio Leandre, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Kiana D. Taylor, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Elizabeth Lopez Jaramillo, Psychology of Leadership. Kafil K. Mentzner, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Danielle Kimberly Bryant, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Jennifer Lindsay Puckett, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Nicole Brown, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Michelle Lynn Baribeau, Human Resources and Employment Relations. Yuge Duan, teaching English as a second language. Sadra Terani, architecture. Brent Charles Casilio, psychology of leadership. Christopher Michael Bennett, psychology of leadership. Courtney Alice Clark, psychology of leadership. Sandra Lee Wagner, psychology of leadership. Chabeli Talia Cabrera, human resources and employment relations. Françoise Arlene Almagarizi, human resources and employment relations. Jennifer Lee Perminis, human resources and employment relations. Lauren M. Weigold, human resources and employment relations. Hannah Victoria Fitzgerald Evans, human resources and employment relations. Laura Folk, human resources and employment relations. Mara Alexis Baker, psychology of leadership. Alma Hundijk, psychology of leadership. Christopher Frenchell Vaughn, psychology of leadership. Roger A. Dunlap, Jr., psychology of leadership. David Michael Spiegelmeier, psychology of leadership. Sean Quinn, psychology of leadership. Yi Chen Shang, teaching English as a second language. Shiqin Zhang, comparative literature. College of Nursing. Robin Ann Reckner, nursing. Nathan Erickson, nursing. Gabriela Mercedes Feliz, human resources and employment relations. Chelsea Lee Ammon, human resources and employment relations. Dominic Del Reese Gilroy, human resources and employment relations. Alexander Richard Othmer, psychology of leadership. Eberly College of Science. Erica Ashley Jacobs, applied statistics. Jingjing Shi, chemistry. Julie A. Brussel, applied statistics. David Vivek Samuel, applied statistics. Junyang Zhang, applied statistics. Yilong Feng, biotechnology. Shuang Yang, biotechnology. Yuan Feng, biotechnology. Anita Lung, biotechnology. Cedric Lewis, biotechnology. James Scott Flum, biotechnology. Aditi Makarand Ranade, biotechnology. College of Medicine. Kelsey Grace Taylor, public health. Gabrielle Elise DeLauder, public health. Pam Kelly Ramsey, public health sciences.
Will the new Penn State Master's graduates please rise and let's applaud their achievements. you. Please be seated. We now turn to our doctoral candidates. Dr. Barron, the students who will proceed to the stage have met the stringent requirements of their doctoral degree and have written dissertations or attained professional level achievements that are significant contributions to their professions. Will all doctoral candidates please rise for the conferral of your degrees and remain standing?
In recognition of your completion of academic requirements of the highest order, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon each of you the doctoral degree you have earned with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Congratulations, and now please remain standing for your hooding.
The faculty escorts will now rise and hood these new doctoral recipients with the attire symbolic of their new academic standing. The Doctor of Philosophy degree is awarded for demonstrated scholarship and original contributions to research in one of 93 major fields of study at Penn State. The border on the hood is dark blue. The Doctor of Education degree recognizes scholarly achievement in the application of research results to practical problems in the field of education. The border on the hood is light blue. The Doctor of Musical Arts recognizes professional level performance and scholarly knowledge of the instrument and of the discipline of music. The border on the hood is pink. The Doctor of Nursing Practice degree recognizes the highest level of clinical nursing practice. The border on the hood is apricot. The Doctor of Public Health recognizes leadership in the application of translational research and implementation of research findings to practice in the field of public health. The border on the hood is salmon pink. All 5 hoods are lined with Penn State's colors, blue and white. New doctoral recipients are escorted by members of our graduate faculty, and we are pleased to include them in this ceremony. The variations in the colorful academic regalia of the faculty represented here today denote the many institutions of higher education where our faculty have received their degrees and signal the diverse and impressive educational background and training of our professors and the expertise they bring to our students. You may be seated until the marshals direct you to the stage. I would like to again remind everyone to please refrain from applause and cheers until all of our graduates have crossed the platform and returned to their seats so that we can hear every name being called, and then we will applaud their accomplishments together, I promise you.
Okay. College of Agricultural Sciences. Dr. Maria Sook Smith, PhD in Horticulture, escorted by Professor Michela Centinari. Dr. Andrew Joseph Lister, PhD in Forest Resources, escorted by Professor Laura P. Leitz. Dr. Christian Richard Mann, PhD in Rural Sociology with dual title in International Agricultural and Development, escorted by Professor Leland Luther Glenna. Dr. Erica Odera, PhD in Agricultural and Extension Education, escorted by Professor Mark Brennan. College of Arts and Architecture. Dr. Teresa Ann Kutaj Christensen, PhD in Art History, escorted by Professor Robin L. Thomas. Dr. Shi-Huen Hui, DMA in Piano Performance, escorted by Professor Timothy Paul Schaefer. Dr. So-Young Jung, DMA in Piano Performance, escorted by Professor Timothy Paul Schaefer. College of Earth and Mineral Sciences. Dr. Winchell Ian Sevilla, PhD in Geosciences, escorted by Professor Charles J. Ammon. Dr. Nell E. Hoagland, PhD in Geosciences with dual title in Biogeochemistry, escorted by Professor Susan Louise Brantley. Dr. Benjamin James Madera, PhD in Geosciences, escorted by Professor Chris J. Marone. Dr. Carrie Lynn Ryan, PhD in Geosciences, escorted by Professor Chris J. Marone. Dr. Helen Deborah Gall, PhD in Geosciences, escorted by Professor Tanya Furman. Dr. Uyen Nguyen, PhD in Geosciences with dual title in Biogeochemistry, escorted by Dr. Sarah Lincoln. Dr. Carolyn Fish, PhD in Geography, escorted by Professor Cynthia Ann Brewer. Dr. Elena Sava, PhD in Geography, escorted by Professor Guido Cervone. Dr. Nari Senanayake, PhD in Geography, escorted by Professor Brian Hastings King. Dr. Andrew Marshall, PhD in Geography, escorted by Professor Derek William Holdsworth. Dr. Jorge Giovanni Jimenez Sanchez, PhD in Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, escorted by Professor Paul Markowski. Dr. Mashash Minamide, PhD in Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, escorted by Professor Fuqing Zhang. Dr. Hans Weiteng Chen, PhD in Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, escorted by Professor Fuqing Zhang. Dr. Robert Saris, PhD in Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, escorted by Professor Chris Forrest. Dr. Brandon Anthony Schwartz, PhD in Energy and Mineral Engineering, escorted by Professor Derek Ellsworth. Dr. Nongchao Guo, PhD in Energy and Mineral Engineering, escorted by Professor Chiara Lopetre. Dr. Yanzhou Ji, PhD in Mineral Science and Engineering, escorted by Professor Todd Palmer. Dr. Egbadon Udgebe, PhD in Energy and Mineral Engineering, escorted by Professor Eugene C. Morgan. College of Education. Dr. Chulapul Tanosming, PhD in Instructional Systems, escorted by Professor Priya Sharma. Dr. Pool Ip Dong, PhD in Curriculum and Instruction, escorted by Professor Allison Sterling Henward. Dr. Erica Beth Sausner, PhD in Educational Theory and Practice with dual title in Comparative and International Education, escorted by Professor Nicole Webster. Dr. Pia Sibili Small, PhD in Counselor Education, escorted by Professor Joylyn Carney. Dr. Jason Whitney, PhD in Curriculum and Instruction, escorted by Professor Peggy Laura. Dr. Yoon Hee Lee, PhD in Curriculum and Instruction, escorted by Professor Mary Kathleen Hyde. Dr. Chelsea Elizabeth Cameron, PhD in Educational Psychology, escorted by Professor Peggy Noel Van Meter. Dr. Volha Chinkina, PhD in Educational Theory and Policy, with dual title in Comparative and International Education, escorted by Professor Katerina Bodovsky. Dr. Margaret Mary Okan, PhD in Educational Theory and Policy, escorted by Professor Katerina Bodovsky. Dr. Yifan Bai, PhD in Educational Theory and Policy, with dual title in Comparative and International Education, escorted by Professor David Post. Dr. Heng Tao Tang, PhD in Learning Design and Technology, with dual title in Comparative and International Education, escorted by Professor Kyle Leonard Peck. Dr. Donna Marie Tausha Cole Malott, PhD in Curriculum and Instruction, escorted by Professor Janine M. Staples. Dr. Corey L. Simmons, PhD in Curriculum and Instruction, escorted by Professor Janine M. Staples. College of Engineering. Dr. Thomas J. Giza, PhD in Environmental Engineering, escorted by Professor Nathaniel Richard Warner. Dr. Chen Sun, PhD in Computer Science and Engineering, escorted by Professor Paul Medvedev. Dr. Vasudevan Rengzami, PhD in Computer Science and Engineering, escorted by Professor Paul Medvedev. Dr. Eujo Fong, PhD in Chemical Engineering, escorted by Professor Ralph H. Colby. Dr. Reng Chuan-che, PhD in Chemical Engineering, escorted by Professor Ralph H. Colby. Dr. Mohammed Nafea, PhD in Electrical Engineering, escorted by Professor Eileen Yenner. Dr. Reza Faourgi, PhD in Architectural Engineering, escorted by Professor Eileen Yemmer. Dr. Connor Patrick Jennings, PhD in Industrial Engineering, escorted by Professor Janice P. Terpenny. Dr. Ronald James Caroon, PhD in Acoustics, escorted by Professor Robert Mitchell Keolian. Dr. Trevor Alden Stout, PhD in Acoustics, escorted by Professor Victor Ward Sparrow. Dr. Christopher A. Funk, PhD in Computer Science and Engineering, escorted by Professor Yang-Chi Liu. Dr. Jing Wang, PhD in Mechanical Engineering, escorted by Professor Tak-Sin Wang. Dr. Birgit Modzelewski Boschitz, PhD in Mechanical Engineering, escorted by Professor Tak-Sing Wang. Dr. Richard Anthony Metzger, PhD in Electrical Engineering, escorted by Professor David Marion Jenkins. Dr. Joseph Bartolai, PhD in Mechanical Engineering, escorted by Professor Timothy William Simpson. Dr. Kelila Louise Wolkowski, PhD in Mechanical Engineering, escorted by Professor Sean Nicholas Brennan. Dr. Shu-Chu Liu, PhD in Civil Engineering, escorted by Professor Tong Qiu. Dr. Amir Admadipur, PhD in Civil Engineering, escorted by Professor Tong Qiu. Dr. Matthew Joseph Crott, PhD in Mechanical Engineering, escorted by Professor Christopher Ron. Dr. Chandan Paul, PhD in Mechanical Engineering, escorted by Professor Daniel Haworth. Dr. Tseung Jui Ho, PhD in Electrical Engineering, escorted by Professor Victor Pasco. Dr. Idelise Martinez, PhD in Electrical Engineering, escorted by Professor Victor Pasco. Dr. Tae Hee Kim, PhD in Electrical Engineering, escorted by Professor Victor Pasco. Dr. Hui Hun Jung, PhD in Engineering Science and Mechanics, escorted by Professor Victor Pasco. Dr. Min Kyu Choi, PhD in Materials Science and Engineering, escorted by Professor Susan Troiler McKinsky. College of Health and Human Development. Dr. James Matthew Pitkavaj, PhD in Health Policy and Administration, escorted by Professor Caprice A. Knapp. Dr. Yang Ding Lin, PhD in Immunology and Infectious Diseases, escorted by Professor Caprice A. Knapp. Dr. Su-Jin Song, PhD in Hospitality Management, escorted by Professor Seo-Ki Lee. Dr. Kate Joan Bowen, PhD in Nutritional Sciences, escorted by Professor Penny Margaret Chris Etherton. Dr. Alyssa Smethers, PhD in Nutritional Sciences, escorted by Professor Penny Kintz Etherton. Dr. Ya-Chi Lee, PhD in Nutritional Sciences, escorted by Professor A. Catherine Ross. Dr. Xia Xiao, PhD in Nutritional Sciences, escorted by Professor Matam Vijay Kumar. Dr. Lindsay Nicole Kasher-Potter, PhD in Biobehavioral Health, escorted by Professor Joshua Morrison Smythe. Dr. Suleiman Roger Coleman, PhD in Biobehavioral Health, escorted by Professor Joshua Morrison Smythe. College of Information Sciences and Technology. Dr. Daniel Evan Hellman, PhD in Information Sciences and Technology, escorted by Professor Carleen Francis Maitland. College of the Liberal Arts. Dr. Shaida Ama Mensha, PhD in Philosophy, escorted by Professor Sarah Clark Miller. Dr. Pin Yung Wang, PhD in Applied Linguistics with dual title in Asian Studies, escorted by Professor Susan G. Strauss. Dr. Colin Peter Hogan, PhD in English, escorted by Professor Carla Mulford Conklin and Professor Christopher Dean Castilla. Dr. Nathaniel Arthur Winden, PhD in English, escorted by Professor Christopher Dean Castilla. Dr. Carl Benjamin Cornell, PhD in French, escorted by Professor Monique Yvonne Yari, Dr. Scott Ryan Cave, PhD in History, escorted by Professor Matthew Bennett Restel, Dr. Christina Eileen Webb, PhD in Psychology, escorted by Professor Nancy Dennis. Dr. Federica Bulgarelli, PhD in Psychology with dual title in Language Science, escorted by Professor Daniel J. Weiss. Dr. Michael H. Pasek, PhD in Psychology, escorted by Professor Jonathan Emden Cook. Dr. Michael Patrick Housey, PhD in Psychology, escorted by Professor Rick R. Jacobs and Professor Alicia Grandy. Dr. Michael Joseph Gadalito, PhD in English, escorted by Professor David Andrew Lowenstein. Dr. Jonathan Andrew Hanna, PhD in Anthropology, escorted by Professor Douglas James Kennett. Dr. Sarah Marie Ludwig Dem, PhD in Sociology with dual title in Demography, escorted by Professor John David Iceland. Dr. Amanda Elaine Mall, PhD in Sociology, escorted by Professor John David McCarthy. Dr. Julia A. Burriello, PhD in Psychology, escorted by Professor Janae Marie Niederheiser. Dr. Bin Chen, PhD in History, escorted by Professor Janae Niederheiser. College of Nursing. Dr. Dolores Jo McCreary, DNP in Nursing, escorted by Professor Kimberly Sue Van Heestma and Professor Kelly Wolgast. Eberly College of Science. Dr. Joshua Snoke, PhD in Statistics, escorted by Professor Alexandra Slavkovich. Dr. Chad T. Nirans, PhD in Ecology, escorted by Professor Andrew George Stevenson. Dr. Kevin Joseph Hart, PhD in Immunology and Infectious Diseases, escorted by Professor Scott Eugene Lindner. Dr. Mackenzie Marie Shipley, PhD in Biochemistry, Microbiology, and Molecular Biology, escorted by Professor Mariah Louise Sparra. Dr. Eric Jeffrey Camp, PhD in Physics, escorted by Professor Nitin Samarth. Dr. Christopher John Dilks, PhD in Physics, escorted by Professor Nitin Samarth. Dr. Michael G. Coco, PhD in Chemistry, escorted by Professor John V. Badding. Dr. Yunchi Liu, PhD in Chemistry, escorted by Professor John V. Badding. Dr. Laura Elizabeth Ritchie, PhD in Chemistry, escorted by Professor Philip C. Bevilacqua. Dr. Kelly Ann Malone, PhD in Physics, escorted by Professor Miguel Alejandro Mostafa. Dr. Chao Yan, PhD in biochemistry, microbiology, and molecular biology, escorted by Professor Lou Bai, Dr. Christopher Scott Culleton, PhD in astronomy and astrophysics, escorted by Professor Michael Heraclius.
While we give our graduates a chance to return to their seats before we recognize them together, let me acknowledge those recipients graduating in absentia because they are already working in their chosen fields here and abroad. Today we have awarded 194 doctoral degrees. Will all the new PhD doctoral graduates please rise and let us applaud your achievements. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Barron, this concludes the conferring of degrees.
Now I am pleased to introduce Dr. Peggy Shipley to induct these new graduates into the Penn State Alumni Association. Dr. Shipley is Assistant Professor of Nursing at Bloomsburg University, where she teaches in the undergraduate and graduate nursing programs. Prior to her faculty appointment at Bloomsburg in 2016, she spent 5 years at Slippery Rock University in their RN and BSN program and school nurse certification. Dr. Shipley serves as a member of the Graduate School Alumni Society Board of Directors. Dr. Shipley.
Thank you, Dr. Barron, and congratulations to all the graduates. The Penn State Alumni Association celebrates your successes and welcomes you into a proud network of Penn Staters. Your Alumni Association is powered by pride. More than 173,000 alumni and friends just like you keep their connection to our world-class university strong through membership in the Penn State Alumni Association. Today, on behalf of the Alumni Association, I am very honored to share their graduation gift to you, which is a 1-year free membership in the Penn State Alumni Association. Your membership keeps you in touch with Penn State. It connects you with more than 300 geographically dispersed alumni chapters, interest groups, and college and campus societies. No matter where you live, what you studied, or which campus you attended, we have a group that matches your interests. After graduation, and once you're settled, reach out to your local Penn State alumni chapter. Your Penn State family will be very happy to hear from you. And in the coming years, when you visit University Park, we hope you'll stop by your alumni home on campus, the Hintz Family Alumni Center. With that said, we would like to ask all of our new graduates to please rise. Would all other Penn State alumni that are visiting and attending today also rise? It gives me great pleasure to induct all graduating students of the Pennsylvania State University into the Penn State Alumni Association. Congratulations. Please be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Shipley. Before we conclude our ceremony, there are some groups that deserve special recognition. Parents, grandparents, spouses, children, other family members, and friends have all contributed toward the achievements being celebrated today. Would the family members and friends of the graduates please rise and remain standing for just a moment as I mention a few words. If you could please rise. Your sacrifice, understanding, support, and caring have helped the graduates to attain their educational goals. This encouragement is extremely important and not always easy when you have to share the stresses and strains of a graduate program. It takes a special commitment. I know that you have also worked hard to get to this day. I want to ask the graduates to stand now, to look for your family members and friends in the audience, and join me in thanking them for all they have done to support your success at Penn State. Thank you very much, and you may be seated. At the heart of every great university is its faculty and staff members who support them. I wish to ask all faculty and staff members in our audience to stand and be recognized. Thank you for your many contributions to Penn State. Thank you so much. Thank you, and you may be seated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude our ceremony. We shall close with the alma mater, led by Mr. Toso. The words can be found in the front of your program. Please rise and join in the singing of the Penn State alma mater, and then you may be seated while master's and doctoral recipients and the platform parties recess. The university marshals will direct the recessional.
Childhood's gate, shapeless in the hands of fate, thou didst mold us, dear old state, dear old state, dear old state. May no act of ours bring shame to one heart that loves thy name. May our lives but swell thy fame, dear old state, dear old state.
Thank you.